Hello and welcome to Country Craft Creations Back to School YouTube Hop. I'm excited to finally share my project with you today, so let's just jump right in. So here is my album for back to school as well as back to Hogwarts. I have so enjoyed creating this, and in fact, I'm not even done yet, you guys. I'm gonna have to do a part 2, maybe a part 3, I don't know yet. But I wanted to be able to show you what I have so far and give you the tutorial for that so you can get started, and then I'll come back with the rest of the tutorial. So when I show this to you, it is not complete by any means, but it is definitely a good place to get started today. So this album is 9 by 8.5, and it has a 2-inch spine. On the front here, what I've done is I've used a combination of the Adventures in Magic collection from Country Craft Creations, as well as some items that I personally created and will have a printable available for you. This is kind of a sneak peek into the printable that will be coming out in August for Country Craft Creations Country Corner newsletter, which I produce. So you're getting a little bit of it early. I will have links down below to everything that you'll need to recreate this album and to get you well on your way to Hogwarts. So on the front, I've added this little 9 3/4 post sign, and we have the train. I just love this. Some little luggage here and a little bird cage. And then, of course, in the center, I created this boarding pass express travel line, and it has an H here. Of course, I can't use the terminology from the movies because it's all copyrighted or trademarked. And so I just made up my own little ticket. I fussy cut out the owl from the paper collection and added him here. And then he slips into these areas, which is a little pocket. The castle itself, I fussy cut from the paper collection. And then you see the map here in the background with some gold foil card and some My Colors cardstock in the back. For the base and all the pages, I use black artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations. And let's look at the spine. I'm going to kind of open this up so you can see. What I've done is included one of the Country Craft Creations charms. I just love this. It has the castle in there. I hope you'll be able to see that. I did add a little gemstone here to the top of it. And then again, I layered some of the paper collection, the foil card, and some My Colors cardstock. And on the back, I did the same. And what we have here is a pocket where you can tuck some items in there. Added one of the ephemera pieces on the back and a little border strip here. Okay, now when we go inside, there are 4 pages to this album. As you see, I do not have the front nor the back covers completed. That will be coming in another tutorial. So I'm sorry you're going to be seeing some of the album not completed, but I really did want to share with you what I had so far instead of just going right into a tutorial and then the final reveal at the end. This way you get a feel of what we're creating and you'll have a better idea when we start the tutorial. So on the front here, we have an area for a 3x4 journal card, or you can add a photo here. It does have a magnetic closure, and then you can put one on the back side as well. This is a side pocket, so you have plenty of room to add additional items there. And then we have a swing closure. And when this opens, there is a bit of a movement or pop-up feature. So I hope you were able to see that this element here slides in and out of the pocket. Again, we have 2 more journal spot areas or photo spots. These are all magnetic closures. Nice area here for photos. This one opens as well. You can add photos on both sides. And if you lift this up, you can also add another journal card and smaller photos to this area. and larger photos here. I will be adding pattern paper to these. Now what's great about this slide out photo mat is that it actually is kind of a secret hidden photo mat, right? When first looking at it, you really wouldn't know that there's a photo mat underneath there. But you can also lift this up out of the pocket, and then you'll have plenty of areas for photos here and here. And in fact, this little border strip here, you can tuck something in there as well. So that's our first page. On the back, we have the chest page. I really had fun with this one. So this says, "It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live." We have a little swing closure here, and when we lift this up, you can see the chest pieces. I'm going to put this at an angle so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Hopefully this will help. When you're sitting in front of it, you can see it really clearly. So I just want to make sure you're able to see this fun pop-up element. You have plenty of room to add sentiments or images back here, ephemera, photos. And while this is open, down here, we have another hidden photo spot area. It lifts up with a magnetic closure. Lift this open, you can add a photo here and a photo here. So that's the whole page. Lots of fun. On page 3, we have a tuck spot here, which I'll probably be adding something to, and this opens to the left. We have another little tuck spot here where you can add photos. I created this element that says, "I solemnly swear." That's included in the printable. Plenty of room to add photos to this area, but when you open this, we have a nice diagonal twist and pop. Look how many photos you can get on this one page. It's so awesome. This has 6 areas that you can add photos. You can even add photos here to the sides. I love this one with all the little footprints. So of course I had to make my own faux washi, and you'll be able to use that as well. So this is super fun. Typically these little twist and pops are vertical or landscape, and we are doing the diagonal version. This is so much fun. The back side of this is not done. Here we have a fun page. This is what I call my time turner page. It has a shaker element, which you can see there. So we not only have this fun shaker element, we also have a photo area. For the photo feature, there's a notch here on the side. All you do is turn this, and if you look here in the window, you'll see little blocks, and that's where you'll be able to add your photos. But you actually add your photos here on the side. When we create this, you end up with this little cutout, so you'll be able to use this as a template to cut your photos and then add them here. And then when you turn the little dial, you can see all your photos at the top here. Super fun. And we also have space in the back. It's a belly band time turner. So you can add a big, large booklet back here, lots of goodies. Like if you went to Harry Potter World, you could add your maps or memorabilia, just so many things you could do with that. The back of that page is not done yet. For this page, I've done a stained glass design, and I really love it. It's the first time I've ever done it. It's super fun to make these elements look dimensional when it's really quite flat. Here is probably the most dimensional piece on the page is my little golden snitch. I added an ephemera piece here. We have a little tuck spot. You can add a photo or journal on the back of that. So there's the whole stained glass vision. And then these 2 little tabs swing out and they swing open. So you can add 2 photos here and 2 photos there. So more hidden photos. Now I must say that each of the pages do have a pocket, and I don't have those inserts done yet. That can come in the future. Here is another new feature that I've incorporated, and this is called a double reverse waterfall. It's the first time I've done one, and it was so easy. I was surprised. And I love how it turned out. I love these little frogs on here. They're super cute. How this works is this little mechanism right here. We just pull this down, and you can see the waterfall going in 2 different directions. Like, how fun is this? So let's look at that again a little bit faster. Super, super fun. I love it. So that's it. That's what I have to share with you today. I got quite a bit done, but we're just going to have to do a part 2. So I thank you for joining me to watch the walkthrough of what I have so far for my mini album. I hope you can stick around for the tutorial. If not, please bookmark this and come back and see me and craft along with me another time. So in the description box below, there is the link for the printable for this mini album. And then I'll also have a cut file and pattern, as well as cutting guide bundle. Now, not all of that is completely done because, I'm still working on the album. So I will be providing what I have for you today in a link in the description box below. I recommend you go out and picking that up. It will be free today for you because I want to thank you for joining me and your patience in me getting this album out to you. So it will be free today for you to pick up, and then those that do pick it up today, I will make sure that you get, an updated version with all the final cut files, all the final patterns, and all that good stuff, right? Even if you don't have a cutting machine, I still recommend picking up the bundle because I include patterns in there that you can use as templates, and it's so much easier to have those when creating. So don't feel that you need a cutting machine to pick up the bundle. So that's it. Thank you again for joining me today. And for those that can stay, let's get started with the tutorial. The first thing you want to make for this project is the album cover. This is a 9 by 8.5 inch album, and it has a 2-inch spine. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you are familiar with my 8x8 interactive mini album. Because so many of you love that, and I heard so many good comments about the size of the album, and quite frankly, I've come to love this 8x8 album size myself, I decided to create another 8x8 album, but make this a 2.0 version, meaning that it will be ramped up in pop-ups and interaction. And I think that's going to be perfect for the Adventures in Magic album. I have decided to use the tutorial from the first album, the 8x8 interactive mini album, to create the cover. And I watched it and I thought I did a really thorough job, and that it would just be good to reuse that material. Since so many of you are familiar with it, you'll already know how to create this album cover. I will have that video linked down below in the description box for those that have not created this album before, and it will walk you through step by step on how to create the covers, the spine, and on the inside, create our binding mechanism here. We will have 4 pages, and for the album, I used medium weight chipboard, one for the front and back cover, one for the spine, and I also used black artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations. In addition, I used scoreline tape, as you can see here. This is my absolute favorite tape to use. It's a very strong tape, and that's all it took to create this. So as I mentioned, just follow the link down below when you go to create your album cover. Now we're going to decorate the outside of our cover. I'm going to push the hinge on the inside flat and open this up so I can get it as flat as possible on the desk as I work to decorate the cover on the outside. Let's start with the back cover. You're going to need one piece of solid color cardstock, and I'm using My Colors Crimson Beauty. This is the mini dot pattern. And you're going to need one piece that is 8 3/4 by 8 1/4. You're going to need one specialty paper, or you could use another solid color cardstock. I'm using gold, and this measures 8 1/2 by 8. You'll need one pattern piece that measures 8 by 3 3/4. And I'm actually kind of just using a scrap that I had here. So if you have scraps, feel free to use those as well. And then I'm going to make a pocket on the back, and this measures 8 by 4 1/4. You can actually make it 4 inches. It's kind of cut a little large, but you want to make sure that the two pieces overlap when you make the pocket. The red cardstock will have an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, and the gold will have a 1/4 of an inch border all the way around. Then you're going to need a little border strip, and I just cut some more of the red cardstock, and this measures 8 by 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to put that up at the top like that. So that's how that will look once I get it all, the way it should be looking. For the spine, we're going to kind of repeat the same colors. We have our red mini dots. This measures 1 3/4 by 8 1/4. My gold mirror or gold foil cardstock measures 1 1/2 by 8, and then my pattern piece measures 1 1/4 by 7 3/4. So that will be on the spine. For our front cover, you'll need another piece of solid cardstock. And as you can see, I just used the same color all the way through. This measures 8 3/4 by 8 1/4. You'll need one piece of specialty paper. I've got the gold foil, and this measures 8 1/2 by 8. And then my pattern piece measures 8 by 7 1/2. Now I took this page and I fussy cut out the castle because I want the castle up here at the top. And the next elements I'm going to share with you are all elements that I created. It will be a printable that will be available to you. It will include this little signpost, which is going to go over here. It will include this little boarding pass for express travel line for one-way travel leaving London. It's got a little H here in the center. I wanted to mirror the ticket in the movies, but it needs to be different because those things are trademarked and all that goodness. What I'm going to do is create a little tuck spot for this to go into. So here is the train, the express train. We'll glue this on to make it a little tuck area. And then on the other side here, I've scavenged some luggage for us, and we'll put that over here. And then this all will become our little tuck spot. And I'm putting the ticket here, but in actuality, you can put a photo there if you want to. So it will look something like that. And I took this paper and I fussy cut out the owl. And we're going to tuck this on the back with his little feet here, or claws, in the front. I'm just going to glue that onto the ticket. So it'll be like a little pull tab. So that's how it's going to look. I'll probably put some more embellishments on here, maybe here, but I'll do that later. But these are the base components to decorate our cover. So now what I'm going to do is just glue everything down. Since this is just a lot of gluing, I'm going to do that off camera. I can come back and show you how I'm doing the placement for the front, but for these other pieces, it's really just a matter of gluing and layering. If you want to see anything, I can do the spine pieces. The other ones are just so large. I just think it would take a lot of time. And maybe you like to see all that. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. So I'm just going to do the same thing with the other pieces, and then I'll be back. Okay, I am back and I'm ready to add on my pocket on the back cover. So what I'm going to do is just add adhesive to the two short sides and the bottom long side. It's a good thing I glued that off camera because I was having the worst time with my adhesive. I put my pattern pieces on the front cover as well, and I'm going to use them as a gauge on where to place my pocket piece down, because I want these to kind of line up as best that I can get them. Okay. And now we can, add something fun back there. Now we're going to put down our pieces for the front cover. When I initially was doing this, I actually ended up creating myself an acetate pocket to put this in. And then I just kind of decided to not use the acetate. If you want to do something like this, I'll give you the measurements. 7 by 4 and about 4.5. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And I used acetate for this so that, you could see your photo. And I cut out a little notch here, right there. So if you want to make yourself a little pocket to hold this, that would be perfect to do that. I just decided not to. I didn't want the glare. And this was a 4x6 size that I gave you, but the ticket is smaller. So that was another reason why I decided not to use it. So I'm going to put my Hogwarts right about there, or whatever it is. My castle. I'm laying the castle flat because I need to be able to tuck things in front of it. I don't mind that it's going to go over all 3 of the layers. I think that's kind of neat. And you know, it all depends on how you fussy cut your piece out, if you do that at all. Okay, now let's put down our little sign. Now the train, of course, is just, it's not a complete train track. It's got that watercolory look to it and some smoke, so it's kind of smoky. I really like how that turned out. And you don't want to put it like this because then it's going to be crooked. So you put it where it's kind of going, this is going to have a little bit of an angle to it if you're using this piece. I'm going to use it to cover this area here, but I am going to just add adhesive to the bottom part of this. And again, I'm taking it all the way out. You know what, I think I'm going to glue down this little smoke part. Nothing's going to get tucked over there. And maybe this too, because I don't want it to get caught on anything. And then our luggage here. Let's see, how do we want that? Oh, how cute is this? Oh my goodness. Now you could do it to where it's all the way over and covering the base of the castle. But again, I'm not minding that you can see the end there. But I think these are definitely where I want them to be. So align your trunks where you want them and then just glue the two pieces together first. Oh, that's right. Last time I moved the castle in. Oh well. It's all good. I'm tucking this in the pocket so I know how far down I need to take my suitcases. And I think that's about good. So right there. This is not your traditional way of doing it, is it? And then right over here. And then, you know, it leaves the rest of it open. Now I'm going to glue on my owl. I'm going to add glue to his little tails and to the back side of his little claws. And then you just grab the little guy to bring him out. Cute, cute, cute. I did not cut another one to go on the back. That would have been really hard to do. So I'm just gonna go with that. But anyways, this is a place for your photos. You just tuck your photos down in there. You could add flowers here if you want to camouflage this a little bit more. Does it really matter? I don't know. I think it looks fine like that. Now for this area here, since I didn't put my castle kind of directly behind where my photo is going, I decided to create a bird cage that could go on top here. So here it is. I did cut off the little loop I had at the top. And I'm going to use some antique linen to just kind of fill in the background so it's not so white. Oh yeah, I'm liking that already. There, now it's not so white in the background. I think it'll go better. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of put it on the edge because I noticed in the movies they don't always have them like right smack dab on top. So we'll just do it a little bit over to the side and it will cover that part of the castle Problem solved, people. And now when we tuck this in, it'll go underneath all of this over here. Oh yeah, I like that a lot better. How cute is that? I wanted to show you that on the spine, I did add the charm from Country Craft Creations that goes along with this collection. Super cute. And I did put a doodle bug spritz. I'm not sure what sprinkles I think these are called. I got this in a design team package. And so I just put one at the top there. And then on the back, all I did was add this image of the tree and my offset to that. And so that's the cover. To create the pages for this mini album, you're going to need 4 pieces of cardstock that measure 8 by 8. You're also going to need 4 pieces of cardstock that measure 9 by 8. You're going to take the 9 by 8 pieces of cardstock and we're going to score at 1/2 inch on both ends. So score at 1/2 inch and 8.5, or I like to just turn mine around and score at 1/2 inch again. Go ahead and do that to all 4 pieces. The next thing we want to do is an angle cut. So you're going to go right at the edge where the score line is and make a slight angle cut. Do that on all sides. The next thing we want to do is fold back on our score line and burnish. Do that to both sides. To create the actual page, we're going to connect our 8 by 8 piece with our 9 by 8 piece. So take some adhesive, you could use tape or I'm going to use wet glue. Add it to the outside of one of the hinges. And it's probably easier to lay this down on the table for the first side and line these up. You want to match up your 8 by 8 right up to the score line, but don't go over. Make sure they're aligned and smooth. You can fold and test it out. Yep, that looks good. And then burnish. Before we glue the other 2 sides together, I'm going to take some regular household tape and I'm going to add a little piece right here at the top and at the bottom, so that when we go and put something into the pocket, it won't get hung up on this area. I didn't do that in the first album that I created, but I did find where it could have been beneficial. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my piece for the next one. I'm going to go ahead and get this ready. Okay, and now I'll add my adhesive to this hinge. And then we can bring over the other side. Get that kind of laying down. Of course, I end up getting glue everywhere. And let's see. There, that's better. I got glue on my finger. And then burnish that down. And what we've done is created a pocket page. So on your album, one side that is open will go over our hinge And we'll put that down over it. And then you'll have your page on your album, okay? Now we're not going to do that yet because I like to decorate my pages and then put them in. But if you are one that likes to put them in the album and then decorate the pages, as soon as you make all 4 of your little pocket pages, you can go ahead and do that. But for me, I'm going to wait till the end. So right now, I'm going to go offline and finish creating the rest of my pages, and then I'll come back. We're going to be creating a hidden flip photo mat, and you're going to need one of your base pages. We've already created these, so they should be together and ready to use. Make sure that your pocket is going side to side and not up and down, okay? Just want to make sure we don't add things on the wrong way. I'm going to give you the cardstock that you need for this, and then we'll start creating it and decorating with pattern paper. The first thing you're going to need are 2 pieces of cardstock to match the base color that you're using, and these will be 2 by 8, so you'll need 2 of these. These will be side pockets. You'll need 1 piece of cardstock that is 7 by 8, and you're going to score this on the short side at 1/2 inch. Fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. Now, if you want to make it a little easier, you can come in and make a very slight diagonal cut. You'll start at the end of the score line there and just cut slightly toward the left. And then flip this over and do the same thing on the other side. I've already done mine, but that's how you do it. The next piece you're going to need is 7 by 7. On one side, score at 1/2 inch. Fold and burnish. The next piece is going to be 7.5 by 7, and you're going to score this at 1/2 inch on each side. So 1/2 inch and 7. So we're going to burnish the score line on the left-hand side. So fold and burnish. We're also going to be adding some journal cards to this layout. You're going to need 2 that measure 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. We're going to turn these to the long side across the top and score at 1/2 inch. Fold on that, fold and burnish. And you'll do that to your second piece as well. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. We're going to take the short side across the top and score at 1/2 inch. Do that to both pieces. Fold and burnish those. Okay, that's all the cardstock we'll need for this piece. Now, let me show you an example of what it is that we're creating. So we're creating a design on the front of the page, but when you open the page, I want to make sure you can see this. I don't know if you can see. You see that? The way that we attach some of the pages that we just created, it lifts up the page. It lifts up the page and pulls it out. When it pulls it out, it's pulling it out from underneath this pocket piece over here. And then that allows us to open this up to 2 photo mat areas. So it's kind of like a hidden photo mat, right? That's what the name of this is. We flip it open. You can have a photo mat here. You can add photos over here. And then we actually have these hidden ones. And in actuality, you could then pull this out of the pocket. You could have another hidden photo here and one here, or maybe put some hidden items into this pocket here. So that's what we're creating. Now we're going to walk through and put our page together and add our pattern paper. Let's start with the base pattern paper, and this is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this down. It should have an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around it. Now let's take our pocket piece and go ahead and glue this on. You're going to add adhesive to the top, the bottom, and the right side. We're going to put this on to the right side. We're going to line it up with the top, bottom, and the right side again, because it should go edge to edge. Now let's move to the top of our page. This is the 7 by 8 cardstock with the 1/2 inch hinge on the left hand side. Now for this one, I accidentally cut my paper incorrectly, and so what I did was I just went back and cut the rest that I needed. But you will need one piece of pattern paper that measures 6 1/4 by 7 3/4. You won't have these two different pieces. I just messed up when I was cutting. And then this is an optional piece because I did do that little boo-boo. I thought it would be fun to add this border strip over where I actually am going to be joining the two pieces. And this measures 6 1/4 by 5 1/8. And like I said, this is optional, but it does kind of go with the rest of the theme for this particular page, so you might want to use it. We're also going to be adding one of our photo mats, so you'll need one of these as well. And we'll also need our second 2 by 8 piece of cardstock. That's going to go over here. So for that, you'll need one pattern piece that measures 1 3/4 by 7 3/4. And then that will go right on top of that. Now this piece is going to go here. And I think we should put this on first, and then we'll add the other elements. So let's go ahead and add adhesive to the back side of this hinge. This is one of the photo mats with the hinge on the short side. Now I didn't really have any particular location for this. Let's see. So that's where this is going to end up. So why don't we, let's see, just so I can give you a measurement. So this is 6 1/2 inches right here. And when we put this down, you want to do it all the way to the edge of the paper. Just don't go over it. You want to make sure it's still smooth there on the end. And I'll tell you here in a moment how far over to go. So from our score line, you're going to go in about 5/8 of an inch. Or if you want to do it at just any placement, that's okay too. But that is the center between our 2-inch pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Again, yours will be easier to glue down because I made that boo-boo. You won't have two pieces. Luckily, I caught it in time so that I could get it cut to actually line right up with what I previously cut, you know? Oh, darn it. Again with the magnets. Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, you guys. Why do I always do that? I am not a magnet person. Okay, I'm gonna just shove this up in there and hope for the best. Because if I can get it somewhere here, I can just put it in the middle, right? Okay. Let's see if this works. This is why I don't do lives, because you guys would be crafting along with me and we'd all be fixing our pages for these magnets. All right. Thank goodness this is good quality paper, because you can usually buff any wrinkles right out. And if not, put an embellishment over it. All right. It's like magic. Yeah, like right there, you can see just maybe a little bit. Like I said, I could probably put something over that if I want. It's like magic. Oh my goodness. So I'll probably go back and put a photo mat over that later. That would be a 3x4 photo mat. And quite frankly, I don't have my journal card for here yet, so I'll have to come back on that as well. Let's see, let's get this in here. Yeah, I'll be able to move this up from where I was going to put it. And I think it looks good. Awesome sauce. Okay, now I need to put this down first because we have this going down over here. We don't want it like that, right? No, that's bonkers. You could probably even cut some of that off, but... Okay, again, you're going to add adhesive to the bottom, the top, and the right-hand side when you're looking at it like this. And add this to the right-hand side of our page here. Line it up at the top, go to edge on the right-hand side and the bottom. Now, if you don't want to use magnets, you can use brads. Okay, so let's go to the back side of this page, and you're going to need one piece of pattern paper that measures 6 1/4 by 7 3/4. You will also need one of our journal cards, and this one measures 3 3/4 across and 4 1/4 tall. So if you recall, we just used this one where the hinge was on the short side. Now we're using one that has the hinge on the long side. Okay, long side. Here again, we are going to put this down first. We're going to put it right up to the edge of our paper. So I'm going to turn this to the side with the hinge at the top. I don't know why, you guys. I just like putting things as near the center of a piece that I can. So that's why I use my ruler. I know some of you just pluck things down, and I think that's great. I just am not one of those people. So we're just going to add adhesive to the back of our hinge. So you want to go in from the top edge or the bottom 1 7/8 inches, and then place your journal card down. This is the base of our journal card. And again, just make sure the edges are not going over. It's all light, nice, and in alignment. Now we're going to once again need some magnets. This project will probably have a lot of magnets. Now I want my stripes to go in the same direction, so that's what I was checking. We're going to bring in our base page, and we're going to actually glue these two pieces together like that. So we want to add adhesive on the inside of our 1/2 inch hinge. And just slide it in there. Oh, that was easy. I suggest doing that too. So I put my hand in here and opened this up, got one end in, and then I was able to easily get the other end in there. Easy peasy. Whoops. Got all excited. You want to add it up to the score line, but don't go over. I would fold this over to make sure that, you know, you're folding and not creasing anything that shouldn't be creased. Okay, so far so good. Let's set this aside for a moment and bring out our last two pieces of cardstock, as well as our journal card, the bases for our journal cards. Now, let's see, this one is the 7 1/2 by 7, and this is the one that's scored on both ends. One end we folded, one end we did not fold. Okay, here's your second piece, and this one measured 7 by 7, I believe. Yep. We have a scored on the right hand side. So for this, what we're going to do, we've already folded this back and burnished it. We're going to flip this over, add adhesive on the back side of that hinge. We're going to then take this hinge and line it up with this hinge that we didn't fold. So it's really just a matter of matching them up at the edge to edge. Easy peasy. So this piece can actually be folded back now. And I would go ahead and burnish that. So here's my piece. I'm going to open this up and then flip it over to where my hinge is at the top. I'm bringing in my ruler because I'm just like that. What did I say that was? I don't even know. 6.5 apparently. Okay, we want to take our journal card base that has the hinge on the long side and add adhesive to the back side of that. It's about 1 3/8 of an inch. Yeah. 1 3/8 of an inch from either end. Again, match this up. Make sure it doesn't go over the edge. Okay, so now we're back on top here. Looks like it got wet there or something. Okay. So when we're looking at this, just to kind of regroup, we have a hinge here, we have a hinge here. This is going to flip open to the left. We need to add our magnets, so let's do that. I'm so glad I caught myself. Let's see how these work. Okay. Now we can add our pattern paper. I can get this off. Okay. And again, I'll add my photo mat here later and that later. Now let's bring in our base page. Let's open this up. We're going to add adhesive to the back side of our hinge. So this is the page. On the back of the hinge, add adhesive. We're going to glue this down on this side. We're going to glue this down on top, right here, right up to the score line. Don't go over it because we want it to be able to shut. And then we'll tuck it in. I think that might be better. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my ruler. So about 1/2 an inch in from the top and the bottom. Right in front. I can show you that here. Okay, there's the score line. I'm putting it right up to it. For the back, now granted, most of us are just going to leave this tucked into the pocket, but if there are those cases where someone might pull it out to add some hidden gems, I wanted you to be able to have the pattern size for this side of the page. So you will need a piece of pattern paper that measures 6 1/4 by 6 3/4 if you want to decorate the back side of the photo flips. That's purely optional. I don't think anyone's really gonna see it unless, again, you pull this out of the pocket. This particular piece is from Love Letters by Country Craft Creations. I love the script on here and I thought that would go along with the whole theme. And I really wanted something that was silver to go along with the rest of the pages. Okay, now before we put that in there, you know, of course I had to make some kind of mistake again. This piece was supposed to be up here. But of course I didn't do it. So let's tuck this in. So if you notice, we will be able to bend this a little bit. So hold this with one hand, bend this up with your left hand, or vice versa, and then just tuck in the hinge area right into the page. Let's see if this works. Let's close the page. This should be sliding out, and it is, and then this should easily open. Voila. It's like magic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, what are we going to do with this little puppy? The idea I had with these was to put each of the houses on here, you know, so we needed 4. 1 for here, 1 there, and for some reason I had another one here. Oh, that's kind of cute. Or we could even... Oh, let's see. Well, hey, we could put one inside. Well, that's a fun idea. Right? Yeah. Actually, we could, I mean, even this, kind of liking that too. But we can pop that open so just the Slytherin won't have their card going with their paper. I didn't mean to do that on purpose, my Slytherin witches and wizards. I mean, we can put it here. You'll see the black, or we can try to lift that up. But then what will we do with it? Because this is technically going to be closed. I like this idea. Because then you have another flip, right? Let's do it. All right, we're going to take our last one. You're going to add adhesive to the 1/2-inch hinge. At 1 5/8 inch in from the edge on the left-hand side. Because this will be closed, and then this will be closed, I don't think we're going to need magnets for this journal card flip, since it's covered by this page and then by another page. However, I did just realize that I didn't account for a closure for the whole thing. I'll have to think on that. Because this is too short. I can't put a magnet here and then one over here. It's not going to work. Unless we add something on here, like a little bridge. I finally figured out how I want to add a closure to this page. I will be recovering this area with this piece, and it is 1 3/4 inches wide and 7 3/4 inches long. I managed to cut mine short. I'm going to then add this border strip down here at the bottom, and I'm going to make it like a little tuck spot. This is 1 3/4 inches wide by, you know, the width of the border, which is 5/8 inch. So that will go down here. I'm going to use this ephemera piece from the collection. I've created an offset for it using my scan and cut. And you'll need 1 brad for the closure. So when you're making this, just ignore that piece. you're going to have a 1 3/4 by 7 3/4 piece. I would still recommend using the border strip down at the bottom. It looks kind of neat because then we have it going here and carrying on down here. So I don't know, it's kind of cool. For this piece, I'm going to actually put it over this image right here and put my brad somewhere up in here. And then it can swing open like that. And then this will be on this side and out of the way when you open it. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. It's just really a matter of figuring out where to place everything. I want to have this up high enough that when you swing this around, it actually gets out of the way of this piece. So you'll probably have to test this out yourself. I think I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge and probably about 3/8 of an inch from this edge. I really think you're just going to have to test it out on your page and see how it works. You know, we might line things up differently on the page. You just never know. So I'm just going to put my brad in there and hope for the best. Okay, now here's another tricky part. So I'm lining this up where I would if I'm gluing it down. And you could use temporary tape if you wanted to. Maybe I should do that. So I'm going to put this back over here and I'm going to put everything where I think I want it. And then I'm going to kind of try it out. Yeah. When I think I have it where I want it, I'm going to kind of push down on my brad and make a dot in my paper. I hope you can see that, or at least get the gist of what I'm saying. Am I coherent? It's hard to say sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to see if this reaches. Not really. Okay, I'll just have to push my brad in on my own where that dot is. And when I do the brads on the back, I want to leave space somehow. Let's see. Can you see what I've done there? We're going to see how this works. Yeah. When you lay the legs to the brad flat, it does make this kind of stick up. What I'm suggesting, or at least we'll try, is to kind of lift the brads up. So I'm sticking my little scoring tool underneath, kind of just arcing them a little bit. Because you can always mash them down, right? But you can't puff them up once we glue it down. All right, one more time, we'll try this. Yeah, see? So much better. Okay, so I would suggest making your legs of the brad a little bit puffy. We'll just see how this goes. I'm going to glue everywhere and then just kind of around the brad, but not, oh, would you look at that? but not, you know, so the brad gets glued down. We want it to be movable, I think, right? So I'm just putting this right over the piece that I had there. But you would be putting yours down for the first time. So this will be a little puffy because we arced the brad legs, or what are they? I don't even know what they're called. We're trying something new. And then we can put this piece down. Yeah, I'm just going to put it on the bottom of it. I think that'll flatten out over time. All right, let's move this around. See how this works. And there we go. And I'm going to kind of, oh yeah, that's better. Just got to massage the paper a little bit. Perfect. Look at that. Awesomeness. Now we're going to work on our next page, and I'm going to put the base of this aside for a moment. For this one, we're doing a pop-up, flip-up? A flip pop-up? I don't know. When we flip or lift the page, it's going to have pop-ups there. And I'm using the chessboard paper. You have just the chessboard on one side and chess pieces on the other side. You will probably need 2 to 3 pieces of this particular pattern. So you may want to purchase 2 of the Adventures in Magic collection. It all depends on what you would like to do. One I'm using for the base of my page. The second one, I took and I cut out these elements. So I fussy cut out the little pieces here whenever there was a full one that I could see. And actually I have more, you know, like this. I did not do any of the black because it was too hard to differentiate them from the actual chessboard. So I cut out all of the full chess pieces that were in this vintagey cream color. These are going to be our pop-up elements. And as you can see, they will stand on their own. So I'm going to tell you how to do all that. Okay, so you've taken one sheet and you fussy cut out these elements. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to use this for our base page, and I wanted to talk about how to cut it. Now, you may not care, but for me, I want it to be, you know, equal all the way around. So our page is 8 by 8. This is 8 by 8, and we need a 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. So to accomplish that, I want to take an equal amount off of each side rather than just cutting my 1/4 of an inch here, turning it, and a 1/4 of an inch here. I'm going to do an 1/8, an 1/8, an 1/8, and an 1/8. That way it keeps this kind of symmetrical. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to cut it 7 7/8, rotate it, cut it 7 7/8. And now when we rotate it this next time, we're going to go to 7 3/4. Rotate, cut at 7 3/4. Now what we've done is kept that border that was already on there in the fashion that it was. We didn't distort anything, okay? Like I said, you don't have to do that. It's just something that I wanted to do to keep everything equal. Okay, another piece that you're going to need is cardstock that measures 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, and you're going to score on the short side at 1/2 inch. Go ahead and fold and burnish. You'll also need a pattern piece of paper that will go on the inside of this flap. So this is going to become a flap at the top, and this will be a pattern paper for the inside. Now here again, I used one of the other Country Craft Creations paper collections. It was a Christmas one, the same one I used earlier. And there's the back side of it. Those are really pretty. But I want it to be like this on the inside. And actually, I think it goes really well with this paper because of the gold speckles. And then on the top, did I give you the measurements? I don't know. 6 by 3.5. 6 by 3.5 will go on the inside. And you'll need one that's 6 and 3.5, and that will go on the top. So on the top, I'm using the chest paper with the pieces, and then on the inside, I'm using it without the pieces, okay? So let's go ahead and glue these down. I pulled this little sentiment from the paper collection. It says, "It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live." This is when Harry was sitting in front of the mirror of Erised, and Dumbledore was telling him, well, I don't want to give any spoilers. Now what I'm going to do is just glue this on down here at the bottom, and I'm going to leave it open so that you could tuck something in there if you wanted to. Now we can bring in our base page. I want to make sure I have it going the right way. And I'm going to glue this down. We're going to add adhesive to the outside of the hinge. Ah, darn it. I forgot magnets again. All right, well, we'll figure something else out. How many times do I say that in a tutorial? Oh my gosh. So I'm lining the score line up here with the edge of my base page. And I went in 7/8 of an inch. I'm going to close this before I burnish just to make sure it's in the right spot. It's all smooth at the top, looking good. It's so annoying to continue to forget the magnets. I wish you were here. I'm sure you're probably yelling at me all the time. Now we're going to set this aside, and we're going to bring out our scoreboard or your scoring tools, and we're going to do some scoring on the chess pattern paper. With our page and the chess pieces going up and down, I'm going to flip it over. We're going to rotate our page once to the right. We're going to score at 1/4 of an inch, but we're not going to start scoring until we are at 7/8 of an inch down. So we're going to come over here to the side, find 7/8, bring down our 1/4 of an inch, but don't score until you get to 7/8. Score all the way down to 6 7/8. Okay, so here's my 6 7/8, and I've stopped scoring right here. Now what we want to do is score at 4 1/4. Again, we want to start at 7/8, and here you might need your ruler. It'll just be easier to see, in my opinion. So at 4 1/4, come down to 7 1/8. No, at 4 1/4, come down to 7/8. and score all the way down to 6 7/8. What we should have there is 4 inches between these two lines. We are making a 4 by 6 block. Okay, that's what we're scoring. Now we want to rotate our page to the right so that our 1/4 of an inch where we have the score line is going to be at the top. Okay, now we're going to close up the block that we just started creating. We have a line here and here. We need to draw one here and here. And those score lines are going to be, one is going to be an actual score line that we're burnishing, but the other 3 we're going to cut and make a cut into the paper. It's going to be a hidden photo spot. We're going to again start at 7/8 at the top. It should be a 1/4 of an inch on this side. And we're going to score all the way down till we get to 4 1/4. Okay? So come down a 1/4 of an inch on the 7/8 inch line, score all the way down to 4 1/4. So if we measure from the line we just made all the way over to 6 on our ruler, it's going to be at 6 7/8. And that's correct. So at 6 7/8, coming down a 1/4 of an inch from the top, you're going to start scoring all the way down to 4 1/4. So now what we've done is we've closed off our box. We have a 4 by 6 box. I just want to make sure that's correct. Yeah. Now you're going to need a cutting pad and a blade to cut out these pieces. Okay, I think I've just changed how we're going to cut this. Before I was going to have us cut like this and have this be a flip up, but we're already doing a flip up. Plus we're going to have our pop-up elements here. So let's make this a flip down. Okay. So really what we want to do is use those score lines that we just created as cut lines. So I'm just going to go to the top of my score line across here and cut all the way down to 4 1/4. Now you can do this without creating the score lines, but it's really nice to have them as guidelines, I find. So that's why I do it. You know what? I usually add tape on the back and I forgot to do that this time. But that's okay. Okay. All is going well so far. You know, I'm cutting in the paper so that we don't have to like use 4 pieces of paper. All right. Now, we need to carefully, you know what, it's probably easier to flip this and just start bending this. And then bend this down. Oh yeah, that's much easier. Okay, did you get that? So what I did was I took this piece, flipped it, I started bringing up the edge to get the score line to start folding just between my score line there. And then I pulled this down over on top and now I can burnish. That was really easy. Okay, now we'll flip this back over and pull it down the other way. See what I'm doing here? Just running my score, I'm just running my bone folder across the score line, Kind of like we do when we make our covers and pulling this down over it. Because it's 1/4 of an inch, I don't want to tear it. Okay. I didn't think about the image being upside down, but that could get covered. In actuality, we're going to have a photo here, photo mat here, photo mat here, right? Because this is going to get glued onto our base page. So you already have a black photo mat there. Okay, I found this on my desk, so I think I'm just going to use it. It's 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and actually it allows us to mat this and have a border. And you know what? I kind of like that. It's cute. So I'm going to go ahead, wait a minute. I think we're going to need a magnet. Me and the magnets. I was going to put one of the little elements here. And we could put a magnet there. Let's see if that'll work. Okay, I'm going to see if I can add a magnet to this. And allow it to be the closure here. That'll work. Like, that'll be cute, right? It'll just look like another piece on the mat. Okay, we're just gonna do it. You might want to watch me here first and then do it, because I don't know what I'm doing. I was gonna put this up on foam, but if I have to have a magnet, I can't do that. So you see what I've done there? And then we could put the second magnet underneath there. Where did it go? Over here. Okay. So this will lift up a little bit, but that's okay. Then you know to lift it up, right? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and, ooh, it is right, it is right on the edge. Right on the edge. Definitely want to add additional adhesive so that stays down. Okay, so that's what you can do. Yeah, that will work. And then on the other side, I actually cut out an additional one, and I'm going to put this on top of it. Oh, and you know what? Hold on. Taking that off. I want to put this down first. Sorry, I didn't have this mapped out all the way, I guess. I thought I did. I like to have things mapped out for you and not just come on here and figure it out along the way. It's just not my style. Takes too much time for you. Yeah, I really like that with the border. It's pretty. All right, we are coming together here. Can't handle all these glue goobers. They're driving me crazy. Okay, let's do a little recap. So we have our flap here, or our little flip up, where we can tuck things underneath this. We've got our bottom flip out, right? 2 hidden photo mat areas. Loving that. And for the top, we're going to be adding our pop-ups as I mentioned. I kind of showed these earlier, but we haven't gone over those yet because we need to glue down the base page to put those on. Now when we add these, they are going to have acetate to them, and it will get a little bulky because of the number that I'm using. So what I decided to do was use a brad closure. If we used magnets, it may get so bulky under here that the magnets don't really, connect well. So I thought a brad would be a better option because you can have different heights with a brad, if that makes sense. And I found this cool winged brad in my stash. But anyways, what we need to do now is figure out where we want to place it. And I think I'm going to place it over here. I kind of like it. I was going to put it on the black, but I think I'm going to put it up here and let it show on the black. So I'm going to kind of dry fit this where I'm going to possibly put it. Where we hope to put it, right? And let's see. I think right about there would be good. So just going to make a hole and go for it if I can get under there. So I went in about 1/2 inch, a little bit over from the edge, and about 2 inches down from the top. I don't know if that'll help you guys or not. You might decide to use magnets. Woo! It's all good, whatever you decide. I'm just having fun doing different closures in this album. And then see, yeah, I think it'll work. Okay, now I'm gonna leave the area around the brad unglued. I'm gonna just glue right at the edge and up here and down here. But everything else is going to get glued down, except for our photo mat, of course. When I saw this paper, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. It's so fun to see it come to life here. Now remember, we only have 1/4 of an inch down here at the bottom that we're gluing down. Okay, this is probably going to be a little tricky. All right, here goes. All right, well, I think that turned out okay. There we go. Now the only area that's kind of lifted here is just right where my magnet is, but I'm just going to leave it. You don't really see it with the paper there. Let's see how our brad works. Yep, fantastic. Okay, now we have everything done except for our pop-up pieces. So let's work on that. What I've done is taken some acetate and I cut some pieces that were 1/4 of an inch wide and made like little boxes. And then I glued them onto my little chest pieces. And I'm going to be placing these, on the little squares. I noticed in Wizard's chess, they put a piece on every block, and maybe that's how you play chess. I don't know. I don't play chess. So that's what I plan to do there in the back. I wish I could show you guys this in a different angle. Maybe well, it'll be too late then. Everything will be attached. But anyway, so that's where these will be, right? Like this. And then what I wanted to do was put some in the second row. So I came up with the idea to create the little box acetate to be longer, 1 1/4 inches long, so that I could put it in front of the chess piece, so it would look like this. I don't know. So that's the idea for the pop-up, and I think it'll be fun. So when you lift this up, these little pieces will all be laying down, and then when you lift it up, they'll all pop up. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. Well, I guess I can walk through this one too. So I'm going to put this aside a moment. Okay, so you're going to need 4 of your chess pieces, and that means you're going to need 4 little acetate pieces, and these are all 1/2 inch all the way around. So for these 4, you're going to need a piece of acetate that measures 1/4 inch wide by 2 1/2 inches long. Okay? And we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1, 1 1/2, and 2. Okay? I know it's hard to see. Now fold back on those score lines that we just made. Do that on all of them. It's like burnishing them. And what you should end up with is 5 little 1/2 inch sides. Like an octagon, I guess, right? And you're also going to need 1/4 inch adhesive tape. Take one of the open ends, and what I did was added my adhesive tape to the inside of one. Okay, so put adhesive tape on one end. Then we take the other end and we're going to overlap these two to make our box. Okay, hope you were able to see that. And then I burnish these really good. Now the next thing I do is where I just put that adhesive, I put adhesive on the outside. And then I put adhesive on one of the sides next to that adhesive. So I'll just put it here. So where the double adhesive is, I'm going to put that down onto the paper. The other side, I'm going to add one of my little chess pieces. And what I did was I would first, let me burnish this really good. Now I'm not going to use this piece because I need the other ones to be longer. But I'm just showing you how you get this particular size. So after you burnish really good, I took the adhesive backing off, set it down on the table, and then I took my chess piece, I set it down on the table as well, and then just slid it right back into where the adhesive was. So then now my little chest piece sits up on its own. Now I'm not going to burnish that because I'm not using that one. So that's how you get the 1/2 inch block for these 4 chest pieces, okay? Now I'm going to show you how to create this one with the longer acetate. And again, the idea with that is you attach these 2 pieces together, and you do that so when they lay flat, and they'll pop up together, right? They'll lay flat together and pop up together. For this one, it depends on how many of these you want to do. I have 3 pieces left since I used mine on that closure. So I did 1, so I'm only going to need 2. So you could use 3 to 4 of these. Again, it all depends on how many of these pieces you have left. For that, initially, I'm going to include the one I did. You'll need, let's just say, 3 pieces of acetate that measure 1/4 of an inch wide by 6 1/4 inches long, okay? Now, to score this with the long side across the top, of course, we're going to score at 1 1/4, 1 3/4, at 3, 3 1/2, and 4 3/4. So what you'll have here are 2 1/2 inches and 3 1 1/4 inch segments. Fold back on all of those, getting it ready to be adhered together. Make sure you keep it straight when you're folding back on it. Okay, it'll look a little funny, but it'll come together. Let's set this aside. I'm going to go ahead and score my second piece. Well, actually my third. So again, that was 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 3, 3 1/2, 4 3/4. Okay, now I can get all this out of the way. And again, I'm going to fold back on the, and we're basically going to do the same thing I just showed you. Bring out your adhesive tape. Take one of the long ends. Now I see this one is a little bit short, so I must not have cut it right. What the heck happened over here? Did I do this one right? No, I did not. How long was this? Your acetate piece should be 1/4 of an inch wide and 4 3/4 inches long. Sorry about that. I don't know how I made this one. I must have trimmed it and forgot. Okay, now I'm going to add adhesive to one of my ends. And then take your 2 ends and bring those together. You're matching one end to the score line on the other one, okay? Just line those up and then burnish them. I'm going to add adhesive right on the outside of the area we were just working on. I'm going to add adhesive on the 1/2 inch side. And I'm going to add adhesive to the other 1/2 inch side, because remember, we're connecting those 2 pieces. I'm going to go back and add my adhesive on this one. I see I didn't do that. And let's do our last piece here. I'm going to add adhesive to one side. Connect those two long ends together by overlapping them. Now if you find when you do that one is too long, just go in there and clip some of it off. Easy peasy. Because you need to maintain, you know, the rectangle size. Add adhesive to the outside. And I guess you could go ahead and wrap it up all the way around. I didn't do that before. I don't know why. And then on the other 1/2 inch side. So we can take off one side, bring in our little piece. I'm going to set this down on the table. Just going to bring this right up to it. Try and get it in the center of your chest piece. Make sure the chest piece is flat to the table. Now we're ready to add our pop-up pieces to our base page. I'm going to just remove the adhesive backing. I've already got these in the order that I want to place them onto the base page. What you want to do is put this in the block wherever you want it. You need to take the back part of the acetate. You're going to attach it to this flap. So you need to hold this, you know, straight up. Or maybe at a bit of an angle. But you're going to put this score line here right on this score line here. I'll try to do one so you can see, but it might be a little difficult. So see, I got it right on it. Let's see, is that where I want it? I guess that looks good. And then just bring that up. And I would suggest pushing down to burnish. So then see when we lift this up. It's so fun. Okay. There. And then you can just adjust it as you need. Yeah, I like that right there. Okay. Burnish, burnish, burnish. The good thing about using acetate, it can be laid flat. You can make it stand because acetate kind of has a memory to it. So wherever you put it is where it's going to stay. So that's really quite nice working with that. So we're really just going to continue. I'm going to the next block here. Going to put the little guy where I want him, line up my score lines. You almost need a tool to get him to hold it there. Oh, you know what? That looks like it might be easier to put it on like this at the score line. I don't know if you can see that or not. There. Might be easier to put them all on first and then take the bottom off and then flip them over. That's a good idea. Actually, that works really good. So now you can see probably a little bit better. I've lined them all up with that score line. Okay. Now I'll come back in, remove the piece of backing. And I'm going to kind of square those off a little bit and close this. Yeah. And give it a burnish. And then when we open it up, there they are. How cute are they? Oh my gosh. So fun. If you have a kid and you're doing this for them, they're gonna love it. So cute. Okay, now let's give these a try. So for this one, I guess I gotta do both at the same time. We'll see. I'm gonna put one over here. So you put this in the middle of one of your chess pieces. You put it all the way to the bottom. See what I'm doing there? Because oh, that's not straight. There, I like that. Okay. I hope you were able to see that. And then just burnish really good. And then when we lift it up, now let's continue on. Wasn't really looking. I should have put this one like in front of one of these because they're the same thing, but I guess it doesn't matter, does it? I don't know. I don't play chess. Okay, I'm just repeating the same process at this point. Try to get my piece in the center of this chess piece and of my black. Yeah, that looks good. Typically when they do pop-ups, they use cardstock, but I really didn't want to see the cardstock. So that's why I chose acetate. You are welcome to use cardstock if you'd feel better doing that. It works just as well too. I have used cardstock in other pop-up features, but for this one, I was trying to make it, you know, not so visible since I was doing kind of this second layer here. Okay, so you can see how puffy it gets, you know, just by pushing down on it. So when we put this over, yeah, I think that was good. Okay, so that is our chess pop-up page. We probably could have added a magnet to this side, but I think over time it will get used to laying flat, so it will lay a little bit flatter. But, you know, I just wanted to err on the safe side because I knew it would get puffy. So there it is, super fun. And then we have a hidden photo mat area. I love that. And then of course you could put something up here if you wanted to as well for more decoration. So that's that page. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you really give this a try. It really is fun.